As we continue to wait for results to come in, let's discuss the various groups within the Latino voting bloc in some key battleground states. From coast to coast, the largest ethnic voting bloc in this country has been courted by both parties. Latinos in Florida played a strong role in President Trump's victory there and are playing a huge role in states like Arizona and Nevada. But like any other group, the issues that matter to them are based on geography, culture, and the economy. Joining us now are ABC News contributors Alex Castellanos and Amanda Renteria. Amanda, let's start with you first and talk about Arizona, where nearly a quarter of all eligible voters there are Latino. Is it fair to say that the state cannot be won without this group? And how would you rate the outreach of both President Trump and Joe Biden in this state?
Well, I'd say it's more than fair. Latinos play such a large role now in Arizona politics. Not only have you seen popular Congressman Ruben Gallego win, but you also see the mayor of Tucson, first Latina, Mayor Romero win. And so you're beginning to see the Latino power come together. But the truth is, it's been 10 years of building, largely because of SB 1070, which was a law that was known to be one of the most anti-immigrant laws out there that really galvanized the Latino community. And now it's been 10 years of really bringing that in. And of course, Sheriff Arpaio certainly helped galvanize that. And now what you're seeing is really the fruits of a lot of that organizing that has happened. And so there's no doubt that Arizona is lifted up by the Latino community seeing their own political power rise.
And in Arizona, of course, you mentioned Joe Arpaio and anti-Mexican immigration rhetoric that planted the seeds for the last decade. But when you move north to Nevada, we see a different landscape, even though the majority of the Latinos in Nevada are also Mexican-American. What's the biggest issue for Latinos in Nevada?
Well, you're right about it being different, right? Every state is going on their own journey, whether it's Arizona with 1070 or California back with Prop 187. Nevada hasn't had that kind of law yet, or just hasn't faced that. What they do have in Nevada is really a labor movement there. You see a lot of the messages around economic mobility. What Bernie Sanders did was a lot economic inequality that really resonated in the state of Nevada. And really, I'd say harnessing that energy in the primary has really paid off now as you see young Latinos get engaged, get involved. So it's different. You know, every single state has a different demographic, different kind of messaging.
And you credit Bernie with a lot of the gains that Biden was able to make with Latinos in some of the West Coast states. But when we go east to a state like Florida, which has the most diverse Latino population in the country, we see a completely different story there. Alex, talk to us about the success that the Trump campaign has had with Cubans, Venezuelans, and other Latino Americans, specifically in Miami-Dade County. What made Trump so effective?
Well, this is the first time the Democratic Party has had an open war within the party about whether you're going to nominate a declared socialist, Bernie Sanders, and he was beaten by Biden, of course, but he was absorbed. And so a lot of the Hispanic vote in Florida looks at the Biden campaign and says, you know, maybe he's not a socialist, but who are all those other people around him? And their experience, they're political refugees from Cuba, from Venezuela. They've seen socialism. And so for them, this was an unacceptable alternative. And they gave Donald Trump, I think, the margin that he needed in Florida. Now, when you go to a state like Arizona or Texas, guess what? They're not political refugees fleeing socialism. They're economic refugees fleeing no jobs, no money. They're fleeing, they're security refugees, because the only government there, it's not the government, the government is a drug cartel or a gang. They're the ones in charge. So they come here for opportunity and security. Still, in Texas, Donald Trump was polling at about 29% of the Hispanic vote in Texas, even without the political refugees, just trying to pick up the immigrants who come to this country for economic growth and security. That was Trump's issue. jobs, growth, opportunity, and so he made some headway there. In Texas, it wasn't 29, it was actually 29 in Arizona. It was 38% of Hispanics in Texas were saying in the pre-election surveys that they were looking at Donald Trump.
And Alex, you said that Donald Trump did a good job of understanding the culture of the various kinds of Latino voters in Miami. How did such a broad message, like accusing Joe Biden of being a socialist, hit such a nerve for a group that comes from completely different countries, cultures, and belief systems? And also, where do Puerto Ricans in Central Florida, who are U.S. citizens, fall within Florida's political landscape?
Well, you know, Puerto Ricans are unique. When you talk about immigration and building that wall, Puerto Ricans go, what? You know, my uncle is not an immigrant. He doesn't have to climb a wall. We're American citizens, and I think sometimes we forget that. But culture is so important. We don't just vote on candidates on issues or even economic opportunity. We want to know, hey, do these guys understand us? Donald Trump was running ads with a little salsa music down there in Miami-Dade saying, I get you. I know who you are. I feel what you feel. And that, on top of their experience with socialism, that resonated with that community. And by the way, that resonates even with, I think, the Mexican immigrants coming to this country, the Latinos coming into Texas and Arizona, because they've seen government take care of itself and not the people it's supposed to represent.
And this question is for both of you, but Amanda, we'll start with you. How would you grade the impact of the Latino vote for this election? And where do you see the future of the vote in other competitive states like Wisconsin, North Carolina, even Ohio and Pennsylvania, as their Latino populations continue to grow?
Well, I think we're waiting on Arizona and Nevada right now. It gives you a good sense of the fact that Latinos are playing a very big role in this election, the tipping point. And when you start to think about the growth, remember, 1 million plus Latinos turn 18, become voters every single year. And so when you think about what that means in numbers, it's enormous and has an impact in every single state, including Georgia that we're talking about right now. 5% of eligible voters are Latino in the state of Georgia. And so there's no doubt that this election has really opened folks' eyes, not just to the Latino community as a whole, but understanding the beautiful diversity within it. And I think that is here to stay for a long time to come.
Alex, your thought?
I agree. I think this election, two big trends that we haven't paid enough attention to. One is that more single women voted in this election than married women, and that helped the Democratic Party. Republicans need to either rebuild the American family and or learn to appeal to single women. But Hispanic votes, as you said earlier, Lindsay, that the largest minority group in the country is now not Black Americans, it's Hispanic Americans, and people who come here for the American dream, the opportunity to let their children enjoy a better life than they've enjoyed. People who understand that maybe their worst day in America is still better than the best day they ever had back home, and they come here for that. So Republicans need to make sure they're the party that opens up the future and growth and opportunity for all Americans, including Hispanics.
Alex Castellanos and Amanda Renteria, we thank you both.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.